that is, Cain. He who in the fields food grows, he called him. So this is Ninurta taking control now of agriculture. A plow from the wood of trees Ninurta for Cain made, and with it a tiller of the land to be.
The other brother, son of Adapa, by Marduk to the meadows, was taken. Abel, he of the watered meadows, his name was thereafter called. How to build stalls Marduk taught him, for shepherding to start. The return of Dumuzi they awaited.
When the Shar was completed, that means the rotation of Nibiru around Nemesis, and it comes back through to the perigee closest to Earth, and Dumuzi to Earth returned, the essence of seed of sheep, as well as used for growing, with him he brought. 4-legged animals of Nibiru to another planet the Earth he conveyed.
So that's very significant. This is they brought sheep and ewes. So these animals are not native to Earth.
No, and this is one of the things that last century archaeologists were so flabbergasted. Suddenly, there's enhanced grains and sheep. There was no precursors. How in the world did they come there? And of course, the Sumerians said, "Oh, well, the gods brought them," but anthropologists of the last century could not hear of anything like that. They didn't even believe in extraterrestrials. Gas balloons, their government said.
His return with essence, seed, and ewes was cause for much celebration. Into the care of his father Enki, Dumuzi with his precious cargo returned. The leaders then got together how to proceed with the new breed they considered. Never before was there a ewe on earth. A lamb has never to earth from the heavens been dropped. A she-goat has never before to her kid given birth. Weaving of sheep's wool has never before been established. The Anunnaki leaders, Enki and Enlil, Nimba and Nigashita, who the creators were, a creation chamber of house of fashioning to establish, decided. Upon the pure mound of the landing place in the Cedar Mountains it was established.
That's Lebanon.
Near where the elixir seeds by Nimba brought were planted, there was the creation chamber established. There was the multiplying of the grains and of the ewes on earth began.
The elixir seeds, incidentally, is probably vines, grapevines.
Oh, yeah, elixir, because they liked their wine and beer. There was the multiplying of the grains and of the ewes on earth begun. Of Cain for sowing and reaping, Ninurta was the mentor. Of Abel, the arts of ewe and lamb rearing and shepherding, Marduk was the mentor. When the first crops were reaped, when the first sheep matured, let there be a celebration of firsts, Enlil proclaimed. Before the assembled Anunnaki, the first grains, the first lambs were presented. At the feet of Enlil and Enki, Cain by Ninurta guided, his offering placed. At the feet of Enlil and Enki, Abel by Marduk guided, his offering placed. Enlil to the brothers gave a joyful blessing, their labors he extolled. Enki his son Marduk embraced, the lamb for all to see he raised. Meat for eating, wool for wearing, to earth have come, Enki said.
Now this is the account of the generations of Adapa. And the killing of Abel by Cain, and what thereafter transpired. After this celebration of first was over, sullen was Cain's face. By the lack of Enki's blessing, greatly was he aggrieved. As to their tasks, the brothers returned. Abel, before his brother, was boasting, "I'm the one who abundance brings, who the Anunnaki satiates, who gives strength to the heroes, who wool for their clothing provides." Cain, by his brother's words, was offended. To his boasting strongly he objected. "It is I who the plains luxuriates, who furrows with grains and makes them heavy. in whose fields multiply, in whose fields birds multiply, in whose canals fish become abundant. Sustaining bread by me is produced with fish and fowl. For the Anunnaki's diet I vary. On and on the twin brothers, each other disputed. Through the winter time they argued. When summer began, it was not raining, the meadows were dry, and the pastures dwindled.
Into the fields of his brother Abel his flocks drove, from the furrows and the canals to drink water. By this Cain was angered. To move flocks away his brother he commanded. Farmer and shepherd, brother and brother, words of accusation uttered. They spat on each other, with their fists they fought. Greatly enraged, Cain in a stone picked it up. With it he Abel in the head struck. Again and again he hit him until Abel fell, his blood from him gushing. When Cain and his brother's blood saw Abel, "Abel, my brother," he shouted. Motionless on the ground did Abel remain. From him his soul had departed. By the brother whom he had killed, Cain remained. For a long time he sat crying. Titi it was who of the killing was the first to know by a premonition. In a dream vision, as she was sleeping, Abel's blood she saw. In the hand of Cain it was. Adapa from his sleep she awakened. Her dream vision to him she told. A heavy sorrow fills my heart. Did something terrifying happen? So did Titi to Adapa say. Greatly agitated she was.
So in the morning, the two from Eridu departed. To the whereabouts of Cain and Abel they went. So Titi and Adapa are going to see what happened with their kids. In the field they found Cain. By the dead Abel he was seated. A great cry of agony Titi shouted. Adapa spread mud on his head. "What have you done? What have you done?" To Cain they shouted. Silence was Cain's answer. To the ground he threw himself and wept. To Eridu city Adapa returned. What had happened to the Lord Enki he told. With fury Enki Cain confronted. Accursed you shall be, to him he said. From the Eden you must depart. Among Anunnaki and civilized earthlings you shall not stay. For his deed Cain must be slain, said Marduk. Let the 7 who judge be assembled, so did Marduk of Cain Mentor say. What is it, Janet? You want to take this? You want to read it?
You were just a little bit close to the mic. So anyway, we're come over here. Where do we want to go with this next?
Read
from the 7 who judged.
Yeah.
He be assembled. So did Nanerta of Cain, and the mentor said, "Whoever of such an assembling ever heard," Marduk shouted, "that for one not from Nibiru Anunnaki leaders shall to judge be called? It is not enough that one by Nanerta mentored, one by me favorite was killed. Is it not that as Nanerta Anzu did vanquish, so did Cain against his brother rise? Like the fate of Anzu, Cain's fate should be his life breath to be extinguished. So did Marduk in anger to Enlil, to Enki, Enlil, and Nanerta say."
That's still you, honey.
Nanerta by the words of Marduk was saddened. Silence, not words, his answer was. "Let me with Marduk my son words in my private have," to them Enki was saying. When in Enki's private chambers he and Marduk were. My son, to Marduk Enki softly spoke. "Your agony is great. Let us not agony with agony compound. A secret that on my heart has heavily emburdened, let me to you tell." Here it goes. Once upon a time, as by the river I strolled, 2 earthling maidens my fancy caught. By them from my seed were Adapa and Titi conceived. A new kind of earthling, a civilized man, by that upon the earth was brought. Whether they to procreate were able, our king Anu in doubt was. By the birth of Cain and Abel were Anu and the council on Nibiru convinced. A new phase of Anunnaki presence on this planet was welcomed and approved. Now that Abel has been slain, and if Cain too shall be extinguished, satiation to an end would come, mutinies will be repeated, all that was achieved shall crumble. No wonder that to Abel a liking you took, the son of your half-brother he was. Now on the other one, have pity, let the line of Adapa survive. So did Enki with sadness a secret to Marduk his son reveal. By the revelation Marduk was at first astounded, then by laughter he was overcome. Of your love-making prowess much to me was rumored, now of that convinced I am. Indeed, let Cain's life be spared, to the ends of the earth let him be banished. So did Marduk, from anger to laughing changing, to his father say.
In Eridu, judgment upon Cain by Enki was pronounced. Eastward, to a land of wandering for his evil deed, Cain must depart. That his life must be spared, he and his generations shall not be, they shall be distinguished, however. We're going to spare his life, but we're going to distinguish him and his generations. By Ninurta was the life essence of Cain. What is it, Janet?
By Nagashita.
Yeah, go ahead, read it. It's too hard with the light bearing.
Okay, I'll read it. I can see it better. By Nagashita was the life essence of Cain altered, that his face a beard should not grow. Cain in life's essence, Nagashita, changed. With his sister Awan as a spouse, Cain from the Eden departed to the land of wandering. He set his course. So that is a good stopping point.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Anunnaki sat and among themselves wondered, without Abel, without Cain, who shall for us the grain grow and bread make? Who shall be the shepherd to use, multiply, wool for clothing provide? So they were left with the quandary here, because they started to depend on the food. It's some things never change, right? Some things never change. The food was power and control.
So be sure to tune in next time as we go through the Lost Book of Enki. And I think we're going to, what's happening, I've got the scrolls before me, and the sun, it's so sunny here in Maui. It was beating down on the Lost Book of Enki, and I couldn't read it. So that's what Janet and I are fumbling. Please excuse us. This is such important work, and I'm sorry about the fumbling.
Anyway, that was today's episode. So this is an alternative version of the Bible, and this is all found in the Lost Book of Enki, which was translated ancient texts by Zechariah Sitchin, who Zechariah Sitchin was he left this planet for good. He transitioned 2 years ago, October of 2010. So he left us his legacy, and Dr. Lesson has been translating it and putting up articles just about daily on EnkiSpeaks.com. And we're doing these 2 radio shows, one on Spreaker, and we rebroadcast it on Blog Talk Radio to get this information out far and wide, because we feel this is very important to help break the God spell and awaken humanity to what really happened. And this is a story that's going to unfold over the days as we go through this book. And there are many other books and related materials. Not Dr. Lesson, Mr. Sitchin. Dr. Lesson is working on Mr. Sitchin's books. He is Dr. Lesson. Mr. Sitchin, he should have had a doctorate.
He's way above that.
He's way above it. It was just, he was an amazing being. We were blessed to study with him in person, and then he became very ill, and then he eventually died. He was 90 years old when he finally transitioned. So, lovely man, and we saw him evolve and grow, and his material has been taking off. And if you Google Anunnaki or Nibiru or Planet X or Enki, you'll see tens of thousands of references. Did you want to say something else, honey?
Well, just today's episode, even, you can see this is a continuation of this complex battle between the